Hi everyone, it's Henry from Volant. In this video, we're going to review the Yonex Nanoflare 700. We're looking at the 4U or the 83 gram version of the racket, with the G5 or smallest grip size strung with Yonex Nano G98 at 28 pounds. Key technical specs include being made from a highly strong yet elastic carbon fibre called M40X, which improves repulsion and stability, a super thin frame, a frame that's designed to act like a trampoline when contacting the shuttle to improve power generation, and a new grommet pattern. Further technical details can be found on the Yonex website. So we tested drives, defending from net shots, lifts from drop shots and defending smashes, playing clears, playing drop shots, and smashes.
So with the Nanoflare 700, there are two colors. They are the same racket, but there's two different paint jobs. There is a red one and a aqua/blue color as well. Okay, so two choices in the way it looks. So what did you like about this racket, Henry?
I thought it was incredibly lightweight and easy to maneuver with. I think it's a racket that you can't really get tired with. So that's what I really like about it. So it's great for a lot of defensive play.
And I agree with that. It is light in the head, so you can move the racket really quickly for defensive play and for driving and basically front court for doubles as well. I did also find that it's got quite a large sweet spot, which is quite forgiving. So it doesn't matter if you don't hit it perfectly each time, you still get a pretty good quality of shot regardless of where you hit it on the frame. How about what you didn't like about this racket?
Well, I'm not generally a very powerful player in general in the way I play, and so what I found really challenging about this racket was it was difficult to generate power. So that's what, I wouldn't like. I wouldn't consider this as a racket that I would use personally.
I agree with that in that the head is very light, so it is difficult to generate power. And for me, in addition to the power, it's also a little bit tricky for me to feel the shuttle off the racket because it's so light in the head and I can't really feel it. And in terms of the actual thickness of the head frame, so it's quite wide if you can tell there. So I feel that when I'm swinging the racket through the air, it doesn't fly through the air as swiftly as some of the other rackets. So what would you rate this racket in terms of its handling and its feeling?
I think its handling and feeling's quite good. So when I first pick up the racket, I feel like it's fairly easy to swing and maneuver. And as I said earlier, you don't really tire from playing with this racket. So I would give this an 8 out of 10.
I would give this racket a 7 out of 10 in terms of the way it moves through the air and the way it feels in my hand. And that's purely because of the thickness of the frame that I said initially in the head area, as well as the fact that it is quite head light. So I just don't feel the racket as well as I do for the head heavier rackets. But in terms of the actual control, I'll also give it a 7 out of 10. It's got pretty good control. It's got a nice sweet spot there. But as I've said many times, the lightness of the head just makes it feel like I don't have quite as much control.
Yeah, look, I think control for me personally, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. And just because even though it's such a headlight racket, I have a preference for your balanced headlight rackets in general. So I found controlling was fairly good. So 9 out of 10 for me. How about for power, Jeff?
And power's a tricky one because of how light it is. I found it quite hard to generate the power, and I had to work really hard to generate it. So I'm giving that a 4 out of 10 in terms of the power aspect.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm not the most powerful player in general, so finding a racket like this and using it to its potential is I think it's quite challenging. So power was hard for me as well, so I'd give it a 4 out of 10.
Now, in terms of speed, so because it is quite light, it is very quick to maneuver. So in terms of driving, defense, and quick movements, I've given it a 9 out of 10 in terms of speed because I find it's really easy to move and there's no resistance in its head, in its movement.
Yeah, I completely agree. I could swing this all day with no issue. So 9 out of 10 for speed as well. You can really, if you're wanting to improve your reaction times, this is the kind of racket that you would use.
And lastly, the way it looks. Look, I really like the fact that there's 2 colors to choose from, because honestly, I like the red one a little bit more than the aqua/blue one. And for that reason, and because we've got a couple of choices, I'm giving it 8 out of 10 in terms of the way it looks.
Yeah, I'd also give it an 8 out of 10. I too, not a big fan of the aqua. I'm a big sucker for black and red for most things. So yeah, I'd give it an 8 out of 10 for the black and red racket, maybe a 7 for this light blue one. But yeah, if you like the light blue, by all means.
So overall, who do you think would be the best player to use this racket, and what are your comments about it in general?
Yeah, look, I'll talk about who I think it's not for, and I think it's not for your more experienced and advanced players. I think this is more a racket for beginners who are first coming into the sport, aren't familiar with it, because it's really easy to just get a handle on how to use it, how to swing, and you don't tire very easily. So I think, yeah, for beginners, I would say in terms of singles or doubles players, I'd probably say more for doubles players and more preference to players that play at the net.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think it is a good racket to get started with. And it, like I said, it's got a big sweet spot, so it is quite forgiving in nature. It is overall a very good racket though. It's just a bit tricky for those who are trying to generate a lot of power, especially rear court doubles players.
So that brings us to the end of the video, guys. I hope you found it valuable. If you do like it, then please like the video, follow us on YouTube, and share it with your friends.
Thanks, and be tuned for our next racket reviews.
Nanoflare 7000.